This is The Speaking Show. I'm David Newman, and you're tuned in to the #1 podcast for speakers, consultants, and experts who want to speak
get ready,
more profitably.
Get excited. We've got Kennedy and Rob here from ResponseSuite. Gentlemen, welcome to The Speaking Show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Very good.
So let's first talk about how you came to build this fantastic platform. How did you guys meet? How did you get together? What's your background in the technology world? And then we'll get into what ResponseSuite is and what it does, because it's really, really cool. But tell us your story first.
First of all, we don't have a background in the technology industry whatsoever.
No, our background's very different. We're actually from the entertainment world. So I am actually a comedy stage hypnotist. I have been for the past 16 years, traveling all over the UK and actually the world, performing a comedy stage hypnosis show, hypnotizing people, making them do crazy and wild things. You're a mind reader.
Yes, I am. So in the States, you guys call a mentalist, which means I combine psychology, body language, reading people, all that sort of stuff into something that looks a lot like I can pluck the thoughts out of the minds of perfect strangers. And I've been doing that while Rob's been doing his shows in theaters, doing the hypnosis thing. I've been doing it mainly after dinner for corporate events and speaking and that kind of thing.
And we actually became friends. We met in a bar at a magic convention.
That's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Magicians showing each other tricks and stuff for a whole weekend. And we just got chatting at the bar, instantly became really good friends. Again, like probably 17 years ago, 18 years ago, something like that. And so we were off doing our thing. You know, we both live in the northeast of England. We lived about probably 45 minutes apart. We were off doing our own thing and we meet up a lot and discuss ideas. But secretly, without telling the other one, we both started an online business as well. So we both had a sort of performing and speaking type business. So that was the first bit. But then we decided that we'd start an online business as well, because as entertainers, speakers, you have a lot of time traveling around, a lot of time sitting in airports and sitting in hotels and waiting to go on stage to do a tiny amount of actual work on stage itself.
Your show itself might be 90 minutes in Rob's case, or in my case, 45, 60 minutes. But actually, you spend a lot of time in departure lounges waiting to fly somewhere, or on a train getting somewhere, or even just in the hotel once you're there, waiting to do the gig. And if you're anything like me, you've got a really short attention span. So you want to leverage that time so that I can't take another gig while I'm traveling to one gig. Why don't I leverage that time to do something else? I know Rob leveraged that time by creating an information business, which was around using the skills of hypnosis to improve yourself, your own mindset, and all that sort of self-improvement stuff. Whereas I kept getting asked by other entertainers, how come you're so busy and I'm struggling for gigs? And I just found a natural knack for using the same skills that I use as a mentalist in order to actually get gigs. So I started a membership program, which I actually still run.
You took the lid off all of your secrets and let them out there.
Yeah, something like that. Basically, I started a membership program which helps other entertainers grow their businesses, which is still run today, and then Rob still does his stuff today as well. So that's how we started doing it. But we didn't tell each other. We were like almost like closet entrepreneurs.
Closetpreneurs, you might call it.
So, and that's how it all sort of began, really, isn't it?
Yeah, indeed. So along the way, we both sort of got a passion for email marketing. We realized that email was one of the most powerful ways to put your message in front of your audience. So we really both pursued that and just become massive fans of it. And along the way, we ran into a problem, something we were trying to solve, which I'm sure we'll talk about. And along the way from that, we realized we needed a piece of software that didn't exist. And so we sort of did a lot of manual labor to get around it for quite a few years, until eventually we decided, you know what? We need to start a software company. We need to make this happen. Neither of us have a technical background at all, as Kennedy said. We just knew we had to find a way. And so we did. And that led us to ResponseSuite.
Wow. So last time we talked, I had no idea that you guys had this performing background, theater background, stage background. So this is particularly relevant to speakers and trainers and consultants who either use speaking as a revenue generator or speaking as a lead generator for other gigs that they might want to do.
Right.
So let's talk about when you put your heads together, you realize that, okay, we're kind of doing these entertainment/stage businesses. We want to build this piece of software that solves this big problem. What was the big problem?
Well, we both built these big separate lists in our different businesses. And what happened was I wanted to run an email promotion to that audience. And I wanted to find out, of all the things I could create and sell, what's the thing you want me to create and sell you next? And so what I did was I put together a quick survey, literally asked a couple of questions. One of them was a 4 radio button. So just choose one of these 4 options question of which of these 4 things do you want next? And I was about to send it out to my email list. And I realized I hit a problem because, of course, when you do any form of email marketing, we know that most people are not going to open the email. Most people are not going to click, and most people are not going to fill out the survey. So I thought, well, that's okay. I'll send it out again tomorrow, and then the day after, and the day after, and probably for 3 or 4 days until as many people as possible have filled it out. And then I realized I had this problem because now I'm going to send out this survey in a few seconds' time. And then tomorrow, when I log back into my email platform to send it out again, I'm going to hit a wall because I now can't exclude all of the people who filled it out yesterday. And then the day after that, when I send it out again, I can't exclude the second batch of people who filled it out because my email marketing platform, which at the time was Aweber, these days Infusionsoft, didn't know who'd filled out the survey. So I called Kennedy. I said, dude, I'm trying to do this survey. Can I get the survey platform to integrate with my email marketing platform? So it's funny you should ask. No, I've been trying to do it for a very different reason. It can't be done. So I said, well, it must be possible because anonymous feedback is useless in all walks of life. So I thought I'll email the survey platform. So I did. And I said, could you make this a thing? And they came back and said, no, it's not a thing. So we sort of said, well, that's crazy. Like, people are going to ask me for something and I don't know who they are, what they've said. Like, beyond just knowing who filled it out, I also don't know who said what. If 25% of people say one thing and 30% of people say another thing and the rest of them say something else.
Who are those people?
Well, that's meaningless. All I can do is create the most popular option and try and sell it to everybody, which almost negates the point of what I was trying to do. So we knew that we had to take surveys and the idea of asking for feedback and make it a more dynamic thing, something that would speak with email marketing platforms and speak with other marketing platforms so that we could make this work.
And you can't blame these companies for doing it that way because actually traditionally surveys have never been part of a sales process particularly. They're usually the end of a sales process. They're a reflective thing that an organization does at a strategic level to look at how well we did. Whereas actually what we wanted to do, what we did here at Response when we reinvented this whole category was to see surveys not as the cul-de-sac at the end of a marketing and sales process, but actually see it as the fulcrum that would end one sales and marketing conversation and begin the next one. It's about cross-selling or upselling or just finding out what people want and then being able to use that information for each individual person to begin a new sales conversation. I'm not necessarily talking about picking up the phone and having sales conversations with people. I'm talking about what if you segment them using different tags or putting them onto different lists in your email marketing system based on the things they said in that survey. Because so you can now, rather than having a chain of emails which go out horizontally in an email system which goes send this email, then this email, then this email. Let's say you've got 3 emails which promote each of your products in a chain that goes from left to right. Instead, why not ask them which of these products are you most interested in or which of these challenges are you currently facing the most? And rather than offering those emails in a horizontal plane, offering them vertically so that if somebody says, I really need help with A, put them straight into the email sequence that helps them out with A. And if they said B, put all those people into the thing that helps them out with B, offering them a product, making sales, but also helping them sooner. And that's what we needed to do. And it did not exist. So we did what any 2 people who know nothing about technology at all did. And we started a software business.
Super quick commercial break. Isn't this interview amazing? If you'd like to get more ideas on how to start or grow your speaking business fast, pop over to our free training at doitmarketing.com/webinar.
Let's go back just to the functionality because it sounds like this must have been a very frustrating time for you guys because when you mentioned Infusionsoft, and I'm not an Infusionsoft user at all, but knowing a little bit about it, it can do about 70% of what you're talking about. And you look at a platform like SurveyMonkey, it can do about 70% of what you're talking about.
But never the twain shall meet.
No, exactly. And a lot of this manual process. So when you say, hey, who answered the survey? And let me blast out a second thing. You could manually, every single time, go into SurveyMonkey or whatever tool you're using, export, import, exclude, all this stuff. But first of all, no one's going to do that. It's a heck of a lot of work. And then if you're trying to scale your business and you're sending this out to hundreds or thousands of people, you don't want to be in the import, export, exclude business, because that's a full-time job.
You are now the mind reader. You're fired. Because that's actually what we did. We did it about 4 years between coming up with the idea. Because originally the idea came from, I want to be able to send this survey out to the people and exclude the people who already filled it out. That's
Nice.
quite simple. That's applying one tag called filled out the survey or something like that. Lots of manual labor still. But then we talked about it and he said, well, if you're going to do that much work, you might as well put them into different tags and different, segments depending on what they've just said. I said, that makes a lot of sense. By about 4 years, we're both doing it manually because we wanted to test to see whether it actually had an impact. And it definitely did before we eventually said, well, do you know what? This is just crazy. Other people must need this. Let's make it.
Now, let's talk about some of the cool ways that you can use ResponseSuite, because a lot of people say, okay, email marketing, surveys, I do some email marketing. I launch a survey once in a while. I think once people understand the power of what you guys can do with this, everyone's going to become like a survey crazy person.
We have one big rule. You should never run the annual survey or the twice a year survey or the quarterly survey. It's almost pointless because there's a couple of things happen. First of all, somebody comes into your world today. So maybe they see you speak at an event and they go ahead and opt into your list to get something. Or you run a free workshop and you're going to upsell a bigger workshop at the end of it. And some people come along to that. Somehow they're in your world. They subscribe to your online newsletter, whatever happens. If that happens the day after you run your annual survey, or if it happens 2 months after you've just run your annual survey, they've missed it. And that means you're now marketing to that person for 6, 10, 12 months, even a month or 3 months, blind. You're flying blind with no idea who they are, what they want, just because they came into your world, just because they came to that event. You don't know anything about them.
Even worse, it's low relevance, low relationship. And this is where most of your people unsubscribe when they feel, hey, this guy's not speaking my language.
You look at the statistics about why people unsubscribe from your list. And the number one reason on that little page where after they click the dreaded unsubscribe link in the depths of your email, they click on that and it says, why are you leaving my list? And the biggest reason people say is because I get too much email.
Because that's one of the options.
That's one of the options, right? They click that. But let's dive into what that really means. Because let's be honest, between you and me, if I was receiving 40 emails a day from a hot woman who said she's really interested in me, she can do that all day long. I'm never hitting the button. I'm never hitting unsubscribe. But if I'm getting it about something I just really don't care about, if I'm getting it about, I don't know, something I should buy my kids for Christmas or the holidays, I don't have kids, I'm going to unsubscribe.
It only has to be slightly off. Let's imagine, if somebody was in the fitness industry, this is an example we use a lot. If somebody's in the fitness industry and they teach fitness and speak about fitness, that's fine. But just because somebody cares about fitness, that could be somebody wants to lose 20 pounds, or it could be somebody wants to be a bodybuilder. Now, they're both interested in fitness, but what they want is totally different. And so that's so important to realize that the minute you've got more than one person in your audience, you've got a broken audience unless you segment.
So let's look at where we should be putting it. If we're a speaker, for example, a really great opportunity for a speaker, the main money for speakers is actually in, yes, you've got that one gig, but actually you've only got longevity as a speaking business if you can turn that one speaking engagement into either productized offerings as the upsell or the cross-sell at the end, or to more speaking gigs, right? First of all, if you're going to run a feedback survey, which is what I'm going to talk to you about right now, I'm going to talk to you about a feedback survey as a disguise almost for an upselling opportunity. One of the big mistakes people make when running a feedback survey is, and this is crazy, they ask for the feedback too soon. If you're asking for feedback the day after you did the gig, you're probably asking for it way too soon before that organizer has had the opportunity to receive the floods of emails, the floods of tags on all the different
Fan
social
mail.
media, all that sort of stuff, which lets them know just how great, no matter how great they thought you were, add to that the social proof of the people who they want to be pre-approved by. Now you have the best situation. So wait 4, 5, 6 days after the event before automating that email out which says, hey, go complete my survey. That's the first thing to do, right? The second thing you want to do is now not just use that as that cul-de-sac, that dead end of the marketing, which would usually be, what did you think of it? What did you think of the content? Did you think I was funny? Gloat, 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 how wonderful am I? Which is often what this is driven by. It's usually driven by, I want to grab a testimonial. Yeah, grab the testimonial. Question number 1 in that survey, what did you think of it? Not what did you think of the content. Do you think they can really separate as an audience? Can they really, really separate the difference between style and content? No, they just know it was good. I got something from it. What I got from it will be different from every single person. So between 0 and 10, what did you think?
And that's the only question you need to ask about feedback.
right? So now we've got the feedback. Now we've got their attention. We haven't just got their attention in a passive way, like they're scrolling through Facebook and they see your ad. We've got their attention in an active state, which is they're taking their mouse or their finger on their phone or on their laptop, and they are interacting with a piece of interactive content. We know that interactive content is the single most powerful thing you can have. So in this case, that interactive content is your survey. So they've told you you're a 7, 8, 9, or a 10 out of 10, which is great. What you're going to do now is you might ask for a testimonial at that point. Why not? Go ahead. Do that. Great. That's question 1 and 2. Lovely. And by the way, if they scored you less than 7, you might want to ask a different question, have a different question appear, which is, I'm really sorry. That was really unexpected. I did my best. Can you give me some feedback? So you can now do the customer service.
And now you end the survey there.
Yeah, you end the survey there. But most of the time, as you know, you're going to be getting 7s or above. Fabulous. So you're going to ask them, testimonial, lovely. Question number 3, which of the following things would you find valuable right now? Or which of the following things do you have as a challenge right now? And at that point, you're going to offer a multiple choice question, which frames some of your additional products, services, presentations, talks, or whatever as challenges. So for example, one of my friends who's a speaker, his main talk he goes out for is about marketing. He's a great marketing speaker, but he also has talks about customer experience, customer service, about engagement. So he has those 3 additional talks. When he gets the feedback about his talk about marketing, which is his flagship talk, he can then ask, which of the following things are you struggling with? I'm really struggling with my engagement of my people. Oh, I'm really struggling with levels of customer service that we give. I'm really struggling with the level of customer experience and our viral marketing and the fallout of our reputation. And now, because I'm putting it in the third person, you are placing the thought into people's minds. If you put a text box in there and said, what's your biggest challenge right now? Their answer might have been, Bob in the office, he's a right nightmare. You can't help about Bob in the office. You can help about these 3 other things. The options are the 3 things that you can help them with. And this is a few things. 1, when people create surveys, one of the biggest mistakes we see people make, whether you're using ResponseSuite as your platform or whatever you're using, is most people ask the wrong types of questions. You want people to be clicking, not thinking. Right? Think of that as a rule. Clicking, not thinking. And that basically means give people multiple choices, whether that's radio buttons, check boxes, big pictures they can click on, however you want to make it look. Clicking, not thinking. Thinking is an open text field, even if it's just 1 line or 32 lines. If they have to think, they'll get to that question and go, I need to think about that. And now the phone rings. And now I'm over here. Now your survey never gets completed. Your completion rates drop through the floor. So instead of that, you want to make it mindlessly simple. Oh, I need that. Oh, I think it was that. Click, 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 submit, done.
You want a survey somebody can complete in less than a minute or less than 2 minutes. Like
that's the dream. Fast. So now what you've done is you've now collected how good they thought you were, and you've reminded them how good they thought you were. You've brought that to the forefront. You've asked them to engage in the emotional element of typing a testimonial. So there is some thinking involved in there, and you'll want to test the value of that for yourself. Another approach would be, if they did rate you highly, by the way, is to follow up with an email that just requests a testimonial.
That way you'll get some slightly higher conversions on the survey because it's quicker.
Exactly. And then the next question is, of course, what is your current biggest challenge, or what you're struggling with, or which of these products would you be most interested in? They now check the box which says, we could really do with some help about motivating our engagement within our staff. They check that, they hit submit, and they think they're done. They now believe they've been through a survey, which they have. What they don't realize is how much you have just powered the next stage of your sales and marketing process. And that next stage is either in the simplest form, let's say you're old school, you pick up the phone and you say, hey, Jackie, thank you for having me at that event. It was gorgeous. I love what you did with the place. What a great lineup. I just got your survey. Thank you so much. 9 out of 10. That's really lovely of you. The words you typed were absolutely brilliant. Oh, Jackie, while I've got you on the phone, I noticed you checked the box saying you really needed some help with the engagement of your staff. You know, I've got a presentation which is about that. Do you want to have a chat about that at some point? We're now into chaining together sales conversations.
But it doesn't feel salesy.
You're just having conversations. Now, want to get more advanced than that or automate it? Cool. So why don't you link your survey to your email marketing software so that they go into that chain of emails, which now gives them information and informs them about that offering you've got. And that was just an example for speakers. Imagine if you then also have productized offerings where you've got a course or you've got a webinar or you've got whatever the heck it is, but you now have the information about what's important to each of those individual people and you're treating them as individuals.
And this opens it up great as well, of course, to collecting the emails of the individual audience members and selling them the products as well, which is cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just thinking that, I'm channeling our listeners. Now, wait a second. I have 500 audience members that I just spoke to.
Yeah.
I'm going to launch this survey. Let's say that 370 of them give me a 9 or a 10. I have to follow up with those 370 people manually. And of course, that's the beauty of ResponseSuite, is that what you just said, Kennedy, is so brilliant, because you say, listen, the 9s and the 10s, don't have them put the testimonial in survey number 1. They put 9, they put 10. ResponseSuite has the logic where you say, okay, all the 9, 10 folks get this follow-up email. Hey, I saw that you gave us a fantastic rating on the program. Would you be wonderful enough to write a 1 or 2 sentence testimonial? Yep. 370 times, you don't push any buttons, you don't do anything. Nothing. It is ready to go.
And then how about this as a powerful approach for speakers? We call it the health check. Imagine instead of at the end of your presentation, you don't say, hi, everybody, 500 people in the audience. Would you all please fill out my survey? Instead, let's say you are a customer experience speaker, very popular space right now. And at the end of it, you say, in fact, put your hands up in the air if you think you are really your business and you are really good at delivering great, really world-class customer experience. Everyone puts their hand up in the air. Would you like to take the customer experience health check? Yes, I would. Go to myamazingcustomerexperiencehealthcheck.com. They go there and it's a survey. It's like a self-assessment, which you say, how many of these are true? How would you rate yourself in each of these? And the last question, what's your email address so we can give you your score? Because in ResponseSuite and many other platforms, it's not just ResponseSuite you can do this with, but ResponseSuite is the only one which does everything we're talking about. But you could cobble this together elsewhere. What you do now is you show their score on the thank you page, so you can score each of those answers, and you can tell them how you can help them, and you segmented them into your email marketing system. And now you have a really great picture of how you can help each of these people, and you're sending it through a bunch of emails. Now, people often say to us, they say this, Rob, this sounds like a lot of emails to write.
Yeah, doesn't it? But here's the thing. If you've got 3 different things that you sell, and at the moment, your process probably looks like this, and I'll try and map this out as best as we can. Somebody joins your list somehow, and then they go through a sequence of emails that sells them a thing, and then they get to the end of that sequence, and they may or not buy it. Most people won't. And then they'll get the next sequence of emails, and they'll go through that, and maybe that's a couple of weeks long. And then they get to the end of that, and they may or may not buy anything. And then they go through the next sequence of emails and ad infinitum, right? Until you run out of products to sell. All we're suggesting that you do is you rearrange those things so that rather than being like steps going down where they go through one and then they go through the next and they go through the next, you sort of move those from being a horizontal thing that happens over a long period of time to being a vertical thing where they all happen at once, but for different people. So what that means is somebody joins your list today, or they take the health check. They go through this service, that's fine. And now you know exactly who wants what. So all the people who like red, you can sell them the red thing. All the people who like green, you can sell them the green thing. At the same time, all the people who like blue, well, they're getting the blue thing. And all the people who wanted the yellow one,
so basically for each person on your list, you're wearing a different hat of expertise. And they just get the thing they want. They're getting more relevant stuff. So they like you more. They're getting a solution to their problem faster. And all of this comes with the added bonus for you as a business person that you make sales faster rather than having to wait till the 30-second email in that chain when they actually eventually get to the offer. That's interesting.
And your audience is more fascinated. They're a fascinator, I suppose you could say. And that keeps their engagement longer.
Absolutely. Now, in addition to being a speaker or a presenter, some of our folks are coaches and consultants.
Right.
And they might have like a $25,000 package, then a $15,000 package, then a $5,000 package, then a $500 a month membership. Let's talk a little bit about the kind of classic coaching application form. I love that part that you guys talk about. How would that work if it's ResponseSuite driven?
Sure. So there's a little feather in your cap to have. So at the moment, most coaches, before they switch to ResponseSuite, are doing the following. And it works very well. It's worked for years. We're going to show you some really interesting ways to make this even easier for yourself. Because how many of us have gotten on the phone with potential coaching clients to realize we're speaking to a person who's not in the right place. They're not right for us and we're not right for them. And that's not good for us because our time is precious, but also it's not good for them either. So it's a lose-lose situation. We're not talking about kicking out people who are down or who aren't in the right place. We're talking about just serving people better. That's what we want to do, right? So let's imagine you, at the moment, have a 25K program. Lovely stuff. somebody comes along your coaching application form, and you have to figure out what are the questions you need to ask in order to qualify and disqualify the person for that offer. And disqualify is the really important thing, right? What are the things, what are the attributes, the characteristics of a person who's just not right for you? If you need them to be at your office every Tuesday, then you need to make sure that they're probably within a certain locale or have the means to get to that locale at that point. For most of us, we do it virtually. So it might be a person who doesn't have the right level of revenue or at the wrong stage of their business. But also, it could be to do with the challenge they're currently facing. Because if you're an efficiency and productivity person, but they really need help with lead generation, that's not really a match.
I mean, one of our software platform owners to do better with their software business, but he helps with a really specific thing. And that is helping people who have a free trial of their software get more people to stick and stay around and become customers for a long time.
That's all he helps them with.
So if you don't have a piece of software, he can't help you. If you have a piece of software, but you don't have a free trial, you're still not going to be a good fit. So if you just sell directly or you do the freemium model, that's a different thing. And so he needs to find out, do you have a piece of software? And if you do you have a free trial? If you don't have a free trial, would you consider trying it as a new model? And if the answer to all of those questions is no, can't help you.
Can't help you. But, and here's the really interesting thing. So if the answer to all your qualifying questions is yes, and on paper, in the cold light of black and white day, you can see that person's probably a fit, forward them straight away to your calendar booking system. And because one of the features we built into ResponseSuite for this very reason is you can take people to different pages on hitting submit, depending on what they said in that survey, you can take them straight to that system, hands off. But if they did not qualify, you could do a couple of different things. You could do the simple thing, which is going, no, they're not a fit, and then take them to a page which says, hey, we're really sorry. It doesn't look like we're a fit right now. We can speak later.
And that's perfectly okay.
That's fine. That's cool. But if you want to do something a little bit, one, more helpful, two, better for your reputation, and three, that's actually going to add revenue to your business completely passively, try this. When we share this with this guy in particular, I will not name him, but with a lot of coaches, their brains, we thought it was very simple, but it turns out this is really, really valuable. So all of that excitement out the way, what you do is you realize that they're probably not on the right stage of business to be working with you. So what is the resource you could create? I'm talking about a course, a program, an online study thing that you can do completely passively. You record it once, a webinar you record once, whatever, that will help a person get from wherever the heck they begin right now to needing and being required for your service and being a good fit for your service.
That could be a product you've already got, or it could be something that's in your main program that they're not ready for right now. There may be an element of that you can literally say, but you know what? They clearly can't afford my $25,000 program right now. But if I took that piece out and sold it to them for $500, that would really help.
Rather than having an advisor, which is what they're looking for there, they might just need a program to get them to that position. So what you might do when the person's not a fit, take them to a page, which is a video of you going, thank you so much for applying for my program. It looks like right now, the best way that I can help you get from where you are to where you want to be next is through this great program. And you tell them about the program. And they're like, oh, this person is going to help me solve my problem. And you don't have to get on the phone with them. You don't have to waste their time and your time talking to them about the coaching program, which they can't afford, on the wrong stage of their business, whatever it's going to be. You've now got this downsell, which allows you to make passive sales from people who currently most coaches and consultants are not making sales from. You've already paid for the traffic in time or money. You may as well get some kind of return for that to bolster the return you're getting from your actual coaching program. It's free money waiting to be made. Secondly, the people who've taken the time to complete your application form, serve those people, help them out, help them get out of the situation they're in. And thirdly, help them move toward the ability to buy your premium program. So there's a massive ability and a massive opportunity there for most of us. And the great thing is, once you set that application form up once, that just runs now. We're one of the few software companies, I think, in the world, who really want you to log in, set up your survey, set up your application form, your feedback thing, whatever the heck you're going to do, your health check. We want you to log in and set it up. And then actually, if you never need to log into it again because it's set up and you're happy with it, because we push every single piece of data and tag your contacts in your email marketing system, you never need to log into ResponseSuite again. You should be managing it all from inside your email marketing system, because who really needs another platform to have to log into? We've already got enough.
As opposed to the current method, which is somebody fills in your application form for your coaching program, and then every day you or a virtual assistant has to go through and go, right, is that person? Oh, well, yes, but no. Oh, no. Okay, great. Okay, who's next? And it ends up as a mess.
It makes it really slick. They get an answer much quicker, instantly, and you get to speak to more qualified people, which is amazing.
Whoa, what a great interview. Are you taking notes? Remember to visit thespeakingshow.com for complete show notes, links, downloads, and resources related to this episode. See you over there.
Let me ask you this. Let's say we're doing some organic outreach.
Right.
And I'm just kind of literally just brainstorming here, thinking of all the different fantastic ways that we can use ResponseSuite. And so far, just for folks watching at home, we've talked about segmentation. We've talked about relevance. We've talked about multiple offers to multiple people in different segments based on what's going on. Yeah. Right? Lead generation and getting people to buy the next program from the stage, from the webinar. Hey, it looks like you're interested in A, B, and C. Did you know I have a program about that?
We wear a lot of different hats here, don't we? Like this is great.
This is fantastic. So I am in a Facebook group. Somebody makes a comment about, hey, having a real hard time landing speaking gigs, because of course that's our business, is helping people get more speaking gigs. I pick up on that person, and without trolling them and without spamming them and without my first contact going, hey, it looks like you want more speaking gigs. Book a call with me. I can help you, which you sound like a spammy, desperate salesperson. What would be the organic one-off outreach that we could do? Send them a ResponseSuite link. What kind of survey might that be that would be like, hey, I like this David Newman character. Maybe one of his programs or coaching packages would be right for me without jumping on him like a hungry dog.
Yeah, you want them to come and like join your band.
Yeah, our favorite thing here is that health check idea. We have a customer who he does expense reduction analysis. A thing I didn't even know existed, but helping companies who generate between £3 and £50 million a year to cut down on their overhead spend. Not a particularly sexy thing to do, but his offer is very compelling in theory. It is, I will come into your business for free. I'll do all the research for free. I'll work out how much money I can save you for free. I'll present that to you for free. And if you say, yes, go ahead and do it, I'll go ahead and do it.
So he's targeting the little beanie counters, isn't he?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and do it. And then I will just charge 50% of what I save you. So if I save you £1 million a year, I'll take £500,000 a year. And you've saved £500,000 a year. Win-win. But his job, picking up the phone every day and calling the decision makers, tough gig. Because it sounds too good to be true. It's another guy who's trying to get your attention on the phone. And actually closing that sale is harder than you would think, until you break it down and you think about it. And I know most of the time I would say, oh, well, I'm just busy doing other things right now. Goodbye. So what he's done is to switch over to making this an expense reduction health self-assessment. So now you've got this interactive piece of content that, like you said, doesn't feel like a sales pitch in any respect.
It's almost masked, like completely.
It's completely masked. He can send that wherever he wants. He can send it out to people via inbox. So, for example, his audience are on LinkedIn as opposed to Facebook, but that's fine. So he can find his perfect people and he can post content, obviously, that would bring them in and get them into the assessment. But it also means if he sees somebody saying about, oh God, I just feel like I'm spending too much on our cleaning services at our office, he knows, that's one of the big things that I can help people with. Yeah. As with everything else in the assessment, there's probably loads of other stuff in there they don't know they could save money on, like printer toner and all of that stuff. I'll send them this really helpful self-assessment that isn't in any way framed as a sales pitch. They get to find out loads about them. They get to the end. It says, congratulations, you could be saving up to 23% on your overhead spend. In fact, if you'd like us to help you do that, click the button below and book a call and we'll talk about how it can be done. Likewise, if they answer all the wrong questions, like I'm a one-man business working from home, I make £100 a year.
Disqualification.
Then it says, great. It looks like you're probably performing pretty well. There's probably nothing we can help you with. Keep going.
Or here's a free PDF. Bye-bye.
Exactly. That's it.
At least something back for the time investment would be perfect, wouldn't it? Yeah, here's some costs to watch rising as you grow or something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So that's a really, really powerful way to do it.
Amazing. This is like a Swiss Army knife. I mean, this is going to be the answer. Depending on someone's business model, depending on someone's revenue model, this could be any one of these situations, any one of these examples that we just talked about.
I think
could be a massive game changer depending on your business model and what you're selling and who you're selling it to.
Yeah, I mean, one of the final things I'll tell you about, and we don't talk about this very often, but do many of your audience in general run any kind of webinars or events of any kind of description?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So one of the things we've done, which is just absolutely incredible, it's so subtle. So we have a saying in the business, which is rather than running the annual or biannual survey and just throwing it out as a broadcast message, what you really want to do to have most effect with them is build your surveys into your campaigns so that after any what we call significant action takes place, you get to segment them even further.
There's one caveat to that, which is you probably want to set it up so you're not using them everywhere. So you probably don't want to have somebody join your list today by registering for a webinar and give them a survey. And then as soon as they buy the product, you sell them on the webinar, then they get another survey.
And then the way they joined it was through a survey in the first place. It's like, okay, this guy's got a free survey account somewhere. What's happening? You know, he's really squeezing it, right?
It was a bit like when we first found out we can merge people's name into an email and said, so then, David, how are you feeling today, David? I'll tell you what, David, I've got this really cool thing for you. Go to here/David.
We're laughing because we all bloody did it. That's the thing.
Totally.
Right? We totally did it. I remember I used to reply to those thinking, oh, he's writing to me. Oh, that Dan Kennedy lad, he really likes me. One of the things we do, which is if you run webinars or live events, so anything where you really want people to show up, because the first phase of running a webinar or a live event, especially if it's a free to attend or low cost to attend because you've got an offer on the back end, the first challenge you've got is obviously getting registrations, but the second and the hardest challenge is getting the people to show up. So what we did, and
especially if it's in person.
Especially if it's in person. But then again, online it's like I could show up, I could not, they wouldn't really know, like it's tricky both ends, right? So we just tried something one day, and isn't it amazing? I'm sure we've all had that in business where we just tried something just for the fun of it, and then it sort of blew up and it worked really well. This wasn't smart. This was just an accident. What we did is when someone registered for any of our webinars now, we asked them to fill out a survey. Surprisingly. So, hey, thanks for registering for the webinar. We're really excited to be teaching this class. It's cool. We want to know how to serve you best on the class. So we've put together a survey. It's got 2 questions on it. We'd really appreciate you taking 2 seconds to click two answers. It'll really help us with the content. Off we go. What happens now? The main question, what we call the key question on that survey, is what is your current biggest challenge? And what we do is we ask to select one of the 3 things that we're going to teach on the webinar. So we
and
just
that's sort of framed as which of these is your biggest struggle right now, and it does that emotional wording again about, I'm really struggling. So for example, we have a webinar about email marketing, and it would say I'm really struggling with getting my open rates up, I'm really struggling with keeping my unsubscribes down, I'm really struggling with this. And those just happen to be the things we're going to talk about.
So let's say, David, you register for our webinar and you select I'm really struggling with my open rates. The email show up sequence you receive between now and the webinar is all about how the things we're going to teach you on the webinar are going to help you increase your open rates. We frame the content of the webinar you've already registered for around your biggest challenge, because the other 2 things are not as important to you. So we barely mention them. We just speak straight to your pain point. Why is all this important? Why does all this work? Because the point of ResponseSuite and the point of all marketing, regardless of ResponseSuite, is to do the job of a virtual at-scale salesperson. A salesperson sits down in front of you, figures out your pain points, figures out your challenges, figures out what you want, and talks to you only about those things. Everything else is a distraction. So if your email show-up sequence does exactly the same thing, well, guess what? I feel like the only things that are going to be talked about on that webinar are the things I really care about. Whereas if I felt like 2/3 of the stuff that's going to be on the webinar is irrelevant to me, then I'm 2/3 probably less likely to show up for the webinar.
It's true, isn't it? If there's 3 or 4 things on that thing and there's only one of them that I just need to get up and see this bit. And that might be the 3rd thing you teach in the webinar. So it becomes suddenly very tricky to A, turn up, and B, stick around.
Calls out straight to you.
Yeah.
I'm writing 9 short, let's say we read show up emails or 3 pre-webinar emails. I'm now writing 9. 3 of them are about show up rate, show up rate, show up rate. 3 are about lead gen 1, lead gen 2, lead gen 3, if they pick lead gen. And then, let's say about I'm not sure how to follow up with people after a first sales call, follow up 1, follow up 2, follow up 3, because I'm talking about all 3 of those topics on the webinar, but I am slanting my show up emails to say, hey, we're going to do a deep dive on aspect number 1 of your problem. Hey, we're also going to talk about aspect number 2 of your specific problem. And then, by the way, the 3rd email is like, can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. We are going to totally unpack aspect 3 of your biggest problem.
Now, if you were to bullet point that out in a document, old way of doing webinars is to say, okay, great, the big secret we're going to teach is this. And then bullet point 1 is secret number 1. Bullet point 2 is secret number 2. Bullet point 3 is secret number 3. Now, the only thing you can do the old-fashioned way is in every email you send them, just recap those 3 things, which is almost pointless.
Because they know what they're registered for.
They know what they're registered for. They saw it on the page. So now what you get to do is to do what you just said, which is brilliant, which is to say, great, now we're going to do an indented bullet point under each of those 3 bullet points. We're going to do 3 more things, and I'm going to have 1 email about each of those things.
And you go, you know what it is? That's a bit more work. It is a bit more work. But when you see the conversion rate of people showing up, the attendance rate, and the rapport you have and the connection you have with those people, you only have to do it once. And it doesn't matter whether you get 10 people on that webinar or you get 10,000 people on that webinar or where you are in between. Doing those things once allows you to do the personalized salesperson thing at scale, doesn't it? It's a bit like a choose your own adventure story, isn't it? You know, those books that you used to read where if you really want help with your email marketing, turn to page 26. If you want help with search engine optimization, turn to page 42. Right. It's that. Yeah. It's speaking directly to people.
What's great about it, and we've actually never said this out loud before, right? But it's cool. Not only does it increase your show rate for the webinar, but it actually increases the conversion rate of the people in the webinar too, because they turn up in a different frame of mind.
This webinar is for me.
Very, very powerful. Now, everyone's drooling. They want more ResponseSuite. How do people get connected and stay connected to you guys? How do they do the ResponseSuite? Kind of take a look at it, see all the fabulous things that we've been talking about. Where shall we send them?
Well, one of the things we want you to do is we want you to see how great it is. We want to see how easy it is because it sounds complex. We've made this so if you can use an email, if you can use Canva, if you can build an email in any of your email marketing platforms, you can build this stuff because we've done all the thinking and we've done the hard bits to make it really easy for you. We want you to not only be able to build it, we want you to be able to see the results from this before you pay us anything. So we want to offer you 14 days to completely set it up, get it working, and get results. You can set this up in a day easily. But more than that, we want to help you set it up.
So actually, as a listener to the podcast, we're going to give you 2 extra things. The first one is we have a 4-part training program that we ran called the Survey Marketing Masterclass. And on that training, we teach 8 different campaigns. Some of them we've talked about in this episode. Some of them we didn't get to. So that includes the webinar thing. We go into detail on that. Membership programs, if you have any kind of recurring subscription, how to stop people from canceling or get them back once they do cancel. The high-ticket coaching application, a bunch of others.
There's 8 of them.
And they're really powerful. And actually, when we sold that, it was $497. We don't even sell it anymore, so you can't buy it. Yeah. But we're going to throw that in for free as a podcast listener.
And you get that just for taking the trial. So you can consume that and do what you want with it just for taking the trial. Again, you won't have paid us anything yet.
And we want to give you a personal implementation call with either myself or Kennedy. So we will actually personally, one of us, jump on a call with you and we'll help you sort of work out what's this going to do for you? Where do you want to use it? Because there's all these different options. What are the questions you're going to ask and why? How do you frame those questions to get the best effect? That's probably our superpower, if we've got one, is working out how to get the most out of a survey and get highest completion and the most value, as well as where it fits. And because we're pretty well versed in all the email platforms, we don't just go, well, you're in MailChimp now, so that's a MailChimp problem. We'll say, okay, great, let's get into your MailChimp account or your Infusionsoft account or your ActiveCampaign account.
We will build the campaign with you, not just the survey. You will have the campaign.
Now, you can do all of that in the 2-week free trial. So you haven't paid us anything. We want you to get this out there, deploy it, and make some money. And if you like it and you're loving the software, then obviously you can stick around. Now, to get that, do not go to responsesuite.com.
Because you won't get all that extra stuff.
You'll just get a regular free trial. If you want to get all that extra stuff, then you need to make sure that you go to this URL. It's www.responsesuite.com/do-it, D-O-I-T. So it's ResponseSuite. Obviously, suite is spelled S-U-I-T-E. ResponseSuiteDeal.com/do-it. And that's where you need to go.
Before we go, David, we have a little confession to make, actually. So we had an ulterior agenda this whole time.
Oh, my Lord.
I know, right? So what we did is throughout this whole thing...
Been playing a game.
We've been playing a little game between ourselves. And David didn't know anything about this. So sorry, David. That is, we've been using certain words as metaphors to tell all of these stories this whole time. And we've embedded it throughout the entire episode. And it's a theme.
As a hypnotist and a mind reader, we like to plant little seeds.
Little seeds. So we want you to guess, listeners and viewers, what that theme was. And we'll tell you now, the theme has nothing to do with marketing or surveys or how wonderful Rob's face is or anything like that. It's completely irrelevant. For example...
So, I mean, if the theme was, I don't know, farmyard animals, then I might say, I went to a restaurant the other day, had a lovely meal. I was really pigging out.
And I was like, oh, move out of the way at some point.
Now, they're not that obvious.
They weren't that obvious, and it wasn't that theme. But there was a definite theme that we were crowbarring in to pretty much every answer throughout the episode. And if you can figure out what it is, we'll love to give you a prize. We don't know what the prize is going to be yet.
Nobody's ever guessed it.
No one's ever guessed it. So we would like you to try and tweet us at ResponseSuite if you think you can figure out what the theme was. You might want to listen back and see if you can figure out what the secret theme was. But to take advantage of all the things we just talked about and get set up with ResponseSuite, it's responsesuitedeal.com/do-it.
Am I eligible to play the game on Twitter?
You are.
Absolutely, sir.
So I can put in like chocolate. I can put in race cars. I can, whatever I think the
Whatever
theme
you think
is.
the theme was, it was a definite theme.
Okay.
But it was something
Goats.
like that.
Goats?
Well, I'm not going to tell you if you get it on this, but no.
I guess I have to play the game on Twitter. Is it at ResponseSuite?
Yeah,
We're going to get like 1,000 tweets an hour from David.
From David.
Is it there?
He's going to
Is
write
it
it
there?
down.
At ResponseSuite. At ResponseSuite. Chickens. At ResponseSuite. Bourbon. At ResponseSuite.
Pass
Puppies.
me the dictionary.
All right. I'm playing this game.
I can't wait.
And everyone's going to responsesuitedeal.com/doit, D-O-I-T.
That's it.
So last final nugget from both of you gentlemen. This has been so fantastic, so valuable. If people were to take one idea away from this entirely new way to look at email marketing, surveys, audience engagement, lead generation, what would you hope that one central concept would be about the way that we're going to do this in the future the right way?
Well, we think it comes down to the way that we market has changed, or the way that we have to market has changed. We now live in what we call the Netflix mentality.
A few weeks ago, my dad called me up and he said, Kennedy, are you watching that TV show on... And he was about to say like BBC or something like that. And I knew immediately the answer was no, because that's not the way that I consume television anymore. Gone are the days where most of us run home from the office or from work or from school or whatever to watch our favorite TV show. We now live in a world where we go in and we consume content on our agenda, not when somebody decides to put it in front of us.
I mean, the truth is, the BBC here in the UK, of course, they released a new TV season recently. It's season 2 of a really great TV show that's really, really popular. And they did a really interesting thing. They did 2 things. First of all, they released it as weekly episodes on the television. That's fine. But they also released all 8 episodes in one go on their online TV player thing, so that people who want to binge it, like me and him, can log on and just watch 8 episodes. Whereas Colin here in our office, he prefers to take it more steady and watch 1 episode every week. And that's fine too. Everybody gets the chance to consume it the way they want to do it.
So make sure you're treating your audience in that same way, because we're all being hardwired to consume content the way that we want to.
All marketers think, for the most part, that we are serving our customers by selling them lots of stuff and sending them lots of great stuff. But the truth is, you're only serving your agenda if you look at the calendar and go, right, what am I going to promote this week? Or what am I going to promote the week after that? That's only your agenda. So market the stuff to them that they want when they want it. That's our really big takeaway.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Gentlemen, thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait for all of these new ResponseSuite customers to start doing it the right way. When they go to responsesuitedeal.com/do-it, get the bonuses, get the goodies, and stop doing old school dumbass marketing and start doing it the right way. So Rob and Kennedy, thank you. You guys are awesome. Appreciate the special hookup here. We're going to have that in the show notes. When people go to thespeakingshow.com, the link is going to be right below this episode to responsesuitedeal.com/do-it. And we're going to do all kinds of fabulous things with it. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Our pleasure. Thank you
for having us.
Well, that wraps up another episode of The Speaking Show. Hey, tell you what, if you like us, rate us and review us on iTunes. Subscribe. Tell a friend. Go grab the notes and downloads and extras at thespeakingshow.com. See you next time.